Number 10. Bearded Avengers? In Marvel's what? Huh? We enter an alternate universe where every member of the Avengers has a beard, including the female members. Some of these beards are inexplicable, appearing to grow on Spider-Man's mask or on the Thing's rocky jawline. Honestly though, Captain America and the Hulk rock the look pretty well. This version of the Avengers is more bizarre than dark, but we felt they were definitely worth a mention. Number 9. Dead Avengers. In Deadpool Killustrated from 2013, the Merc with the Mouth comes to the realization that he and all these other costume crusaders are trapped in a repeating cycle of death and rebirth because they're all fictional characters. The only solution? Kill everyone. This issue is a sequel to Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, and you can probably imagine where I'm going with this. Deadpool travels to the Idea-verse to kill certain characters and prevent spin-offs from ever being made, facing off against some classic literature characters like Moby Dick and Sherlock Holmes. At one point in the story, there's a flashback where we see the Avengers, but only appearing as corpses. Number 8. Captain America Corps. If you can't get enough Cap, this is definitely the storyline for you. This series, published in 2011, showcases an all-star lineup of Captain America variants. Branded enemies of the state, these heroes sport classic red, white, and blue and take on the Americommand in a story that is as all-American as baseball and homemade apple pie.
Number 7, the infamous Iron Man. So, Dr. Victor Von Doom becomes Iron Man. Yeah, it's real, and I'm not joking. So, the man who was once evil turned good, kind of, with some help of Mr. Fantastic to help redeem Doom's soul. He does in fact turn good. Stark and Doom become close, but after the Battle of Civil War II, with Captain Marvel defeating and severely injuring Iron Man, Doom decides to become the infamous Iron Man to try to right the wrongs of his past. I know he technically isn't like super evil while he's doing it, but come on, he's Dr. Doom, so you never really know. He's always planning something. Like, it's Dr. Doom. Number 6, the Stark. An alien race. When the Martian Masters invaded Earth for the second time, Tony didn't want his armor or technology to fall into the wrong hands. He feared if they got a hold of it, they would be way too powerful to handle, so he launched all of his technology into space. Unfortunately, a few years later, the very rocket holding all of Tony's technology landed on an alien planet. This alien race didn't know what to make of this rocket. They were quite primitive. They started experimenting with the technology and learning everything they could about what was in the rocket. They even named themselves and their planet the Stark. I mean, that's dedication. With this new technology and armor, they were able to harness and they were able to conquer other worlds. Number 5. Tony Stark from Earth 2122. Now, there isn't a whole lot known about this version of Iron Man, but from what we do know, he's pretty dark compared to the original. For instance, he kills innocent people. Yeah, okay, that is something the original Tony would not do. Yeah, he has killed people, but not innocent people. I mean, at least not intentionally. In this world, the British won the American Revolution and control North America. And in this world, Tony is a part of the group called the Sons of Liberty. Number 4, Zombie Iron Man. So in the comic series Marvel Zombies, Iron Man is, well, the zombie. He attacks Silver Surfer at one point, but then is sliced in half by one of Silver Surfer's energy blasts. Since he is a zombie, he's not dead. He ends up eating some of the Silver Surfer's body and gains some of his abilities. With just gaining these new powers, and with the arrival of Galactus, Iron Man and some others fly up and eat Galactus. Yep, they straight up eat him. They gain his powers and form a group, the Galacti.
Number 3. Hulk Avengers. In Longshot Saves the Marvel Universe, we see some crazy variations of Marvel characters. This series, published in 2014, features a team known as the Hulk Avengers, made up of Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, and Hawkeye. It's worth noting that these guys are antagonists in the story, along with Wilson Fisk wielding the Infinity Gauntlet, Vampire King Wolverine, and a Venom version of the Punisher. We also see Otto Octavius trapped in Spider-Man's body, and a version of Kraven the Hunter hosting the Phoenix Force. It's a dark and twisted take on everyone, and you can tell that the creators had a lot of fun making it. Did I mention there's a werewolf Captain America? Number 2, TYRANT Avengers. This version of the Avengers appeared in Avengers Volume 5 in 2014. Their reality was destroyed and they were brought to the Marvel Prime universe by Advanced Idea Mechanics. They escape from AIM Island and arrive in New York, realizing that they're actually in an alternate universe. Thor notices some humans nearby not on their knees as they should be and decides to kill them and teach them a lesson. Eventually, these guys end up squaring off against the real Avengers in an epic showdown. In the end, AIM stealthily captures both teams and these bad guys get sent off to their own world, Earth 83292. Maybe we'll check in with them in a future Marvel story. And now, number 1, Revengers. In Realm of Kings number 1, released in 2009, we meet the Revengers, Avengers of the Cancerverse, corrupted by Lord Mar-Vell. The Cancerverse is a reality where life defeated death, resulting in eternal life. But not the good kind. The entire universe is a living corpse kind. In this story, a Terrigen bomb is launched by the Inhumans of Earth 616 and creates an opening between Earth and the Cancerverse. Lord Mar-Vell leads an invasion hoping to expand the Cancerverse. The Revengers are super dark and scary, and most notably we see Bruce Banner sporting some huge horns, Carol Danvers with a creepy third eye, and Captain America with stars that look suspiciously like pentagrams. You would be hard-pressed to find a darker version of Earth's mightiest heroes.
Number 10, Old King Phoenix Thor. So some people say that this would probably be the most powerful version of Thor. And oh boy, it's probably true. Imagine Thor with his own powers, but also the power of the Phoenix Force. That's when you get Old King Phoenix Thor, who just also looks really, really cool. This Thor is a lot older and wiser, but ends up getting defeated by Wolverine, who was harnessing the power of the Phoenix Force. But then Wolverine ends up getting killed by Dr. Doom, and it is given to Thor. And I mean, the rest is history. Number 9, Rogue Thor. Okay, so this version of Thor comes from Marvel's What If series. Something a lot of fans will become a lot more familiar with because they're making a Disney Plus series about it, with MCU characters, which will actually be really cool. So, this one tells the story about what if Rogue, the X-Men, had the powers of Thor. In this story, Rogue ends up killing Thor by absorbing his powers and then kind of goes evil. I mean, she goes on a killing spree, killing a lot of people. It's not all bad though. She doesn't stay evil forever. I mean, the spirit of Thor eventually convinces her to use her powers for good, and she does. But come on, she went crazy, and it happened, but just not in the main continuity, of course, because that would just be really, really dark. Number 8, Frost Giant Thor. Okay, so Frost Giant Thor comes from Marvel's What If series, and during it, it presents the idea of what would have happened if Odin got killed by Laufey and raised Thor himself. Loki and Thor still are not really close in this version, but Loki's kind of the good guy. He wants to leave and go to Earth, but Thor doesn't want that and tries to stop him, and he accidentally ends up killing his mother, Frigga. Thor is devastated by what he's done and ends up letting Loki go, and Loki lives a nice life on Earth. I mean, it's pretty dark for Thor, but at least Loki got a happy ending this time.
Number 7, Avengers Unity Division. In Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe Again, published in 2017, we meet Avengers Unity Squad. Consisting of Rogue, Quicksilver, Deadpool, and others, they head to AIM Island, headquarters of Advanced Idea Mechanics, while investigating the killings of several superheroes. They arrive in search of MODOK Superior, believing he has the intel that they need. Deadpool advances during the fight to finish him off, but before he does, MODOK speaks some code words and triggers programming in Deadpool's brain that causes him to see his teammates as fun, colorful enemies. And then he kills them all. Another very dark, very dead version of the Avengers. Number 6, Avengers Initiative. In Uncanny Avengers Ultron Forever from 2015, we see Black Widow form the Avengers Initiative after Zero Day, during which Thanos invaded and killed about half of Earth's heroes. The heroes who remained make up this gritty version of the Avengers, including a version of Thor that wields a giant axe. This version of the Avengers goes on to kill Thanos using combined magic and science to finish him once and for all. Number 5, Zombie Avengers. In Avengers Age of Ultron, published in 2015, we're introduced to a Marvel universe based off of the popular cinematic universe that features everyone's favorite heroes. In this universe, after the Chitauri invasion of New York City, a zombie shows up at Tony Stark's birthday party. The zombie is killed by Black Widow, but not before its infection is spread through touch to Thor and Black Widow. The Avengers attempt to keep the zombified heroes contained, while Tony and Bruce Banner head out in search of a cure. Thor escapes, and he goes after some of the other Avengers, and this leads into the storyline called Zombies Assemble, published in 2007, originally a manga but then later adapted into English for the Western audience. Number 4, Defunct Avengers. Next Avengers, Heroes of Tomorrow, came out in 2008, and in it, everything starts out great. Our heroes have defeated all of their foes, and they all have normal lives, starting families and having children. But when Ultron shows up, our heroes race to hide and protect their children, which they succeed at, but then end up dying themselves. Except for Thor, who returns to rule Asgard after his father's death. It's a long road as Iron Man and Vision work together to seek out the children of the Avengers and raise a new generation of Avengers, eventually defeating Ultron with some help from the Incredible Hulk.
Number 3, Zombie Thor. Need I say more? No. Number 2, no, I'm just kidding. Okay, Zombie Thor comes from the Marvel Zombie series, which was written by Walking Dead creator Robert Kirkman. It takes place on Earth 2149, and on that Earth, a zombie virus ends up infecting almost all the heroes and villains of the Marvel Universe. Thor is one of those heroes. So he looked very cool and terrifying at the same time. But one of the most interesting things about this version is that since he was technically dead, he was no longer worthy of Mjolnir. So Zombie Thor didn't have it. He ended up getting his own hammer later on, but he didn't have Mjolnir. And that was something that I thought was very, very interesting. Number 2, Venom Thor. Yep, this one is real, like no joke. Venom Thor. Man, just the name is terrifying because you know Venom Thor is a deadly combo. But like Rogue Thor and all the other ones, this one happens during one of Marvel's What If stories. What if the alien costume had possessed Spider-Man? In this story, Venom takes over Spider-Man, but then continues to take him over, and then Hulk. But of course, he doesn't stop there. He's like, maybe I should take over some more heroes. And he decides to take over Thor. Venom takes over Thor and gets all of his powers. I mean, imagine if this happened in the main continuity. Venom would be virtually unstoppable because he retains all of the powers he takes. So he would have the powers of Spider-Man, Hulk, and Thor. Who would be able to stop him? No one. He would just rule the Earth forever. Number 1, Unworthy Thor. This is one of the coolest versions of Thor, like ever. The reason he is so different is because this is Thor when he is unworthy of Mjolnir. He has short hair, a massive battle axe, ripped clothes, and one arm. His other arm was chopped off by Malekith and replaced with Black Uru. This look was part of the inspiration for Thor's look in the film Thor Ragnarok, which was freaking amazing. This story really breaks Thor down and shows who he is without the hammer. Honestly, it really works. And stories like this help characters grow. And Thor, or known as son, learns a lot of valuable lessons during this arc and becomes a better hero for it. I mean, he even fought Thanos during this comic, and it was pretty damn epic. Thor is just so cool. I can't wait to see where Marvel takes him next. Number 10, Arno Stark. So there are 2 versions of Arno Stark. The main one was when he was Tony Stark's long-lost brother, but I'm going to talk about the other one. In this version, Arno was the son of Morgan Stark, who was Tony Stark's cousin on Earth 8410. In this reality, Arno is extremely smart and helps run Stark Industries. He ends up creating his own Iron Man suit and constantly uses it to help himself instead of others. He became a mercenary, killing lots of people, and he even used it to sabotage his business rivals, which is really sneaky. This dude would even kill just innocent people or anyone who didn't like what he was doing, and he would absolutely feel no remorse about it. Number 9, Andros Stark. Andros Stark is from the future and the grandson of, Tony Stark. Basically, in the future, Tony Stark was trying to create an AI, Vortex, that was supposed to help protect humanity, but instead it infected computers, took control of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the internet. It then determined that humans were evil, and it tried to wipe all of them out. Does that sound familiar? Like, wasn't Ultron created to help humanity too in the MCU? And why do AIs always turn evil? Anyways, he traveled back to the past and basically tries to kill Tony to stop the future from ever happening. Well, the future ends up changing, but not because he ends up killing Tony. But I mean, if he killed Tony, that would wipe himself out too, right? So you always gotta think about this time travel stuff. You gotta think it through. Number 8, Steel Corpse. In the Age of X comic series, Tony got infected with some sort of virus that causes himself to permanently fuse with his suit. Yeah, it's really crazy. Basically, never being able to take it off. To make matters worse, his suit could function without Tony's will, and it was causing Tony to slowly die, since it was taking him over. Yeah, it's kinda dark. And when the Avengers were on a mission, at one point, the suit allowed an emergency override that was going to allow it to kill mutant children. Nothing Tony would do would be able to stop it, so he told Captain America to save the children, and Captain America shot Tony in the back of the head. Yeah, that was a pretty dark ending. Number 7, Hellbound Thor. Hellbound Thor isn't from Marvel's main Earth. He comes from Earth 5113, or also known as the Dormammu-verse, which is named after, yes, Dormammu from Doctor Strange. In this universe, Dormammu is the ruler and has turned Thor, plus a lot of other famous Marvel heroes, into his minions, who will do anything for him. They all have new looks, and this version of Thor is very, very different. He's like really straight up scary. Yeah, he wasn't a big part of this story, so there's not a lot of information about him. But look-wise, he has his classic suit, but with a demon face. but he has all of his normal powers. Number 6. THORIAN. Sometimes Marvel and DC cross over. It happens, and one time they did, some of their heroes merged together. This was the case with Thor and Orion to form THORIAN. He was super powerful, and get this, he is the son of Thanos. That's Thanos and Darkseid merged together. Like, that's so cool, and is probably the scariest villain combo you could ever have. But this isn't technically canon, it's in its own universe, but it was pretty cool to see. It's always a treat whenever Marvel and DC decide to work together. Hopefully we see more of it in the future. Number 5, Revenger Thor. Yeah, it's called the Revengers because I'm getting revenge and you're getting revenge. Do you want revenge? Okay, so that quote was from Thor Ragnarok, but that version of the Revengers doesn't have any connections to Revenger Thor. But I just wanted to put that quote in there because, yeah, it was fun. Alrighty, so Revenger Thor comes from an alternate universe, Earth 10011, also known as the Cancerverse. In that universe, Thor is part of a team called the Revengers. And as you guessed, they are evil. They are basically the evil counterparts of the Avengers, which is kind of cool. They end up getting defeated by Thanos, which is also pretty crazy since they usually end up defeating him. But in this version, or this universe, Thanos is the hero, and he saves the day. 4. Beta Ray Bill. Beta Ray Bill, a character that is very popular with fans and long overdue for a live action appearance. Beta Ray Bill is a character that is very popular with fans and long overdue for a live action appearance. If you are not familiar, Beta Ray Bill is an alien who was able to pick up Thor's hammer. No one was expecting it to happen, but it happened. He didn't keep it, obviously, but he did end up getting his own cool hammer. The whole thing started when Nick Fury sent Thor up to investigate a spaceship, and he ran into Beta Ray Bill, and the two of them were like, hey, fight. But during that fight, he picked up Thor's hammer. Now, he was teased in Thor Ragnarok, so maybe that means that the MCU is slowly leading up to an appearance? I mean, only time will tell, guys. Number 3, Iron Patriot, the comic version. So, in the comics, the government wants Norman Osborn to basically recreate the Avengers team. Yeah, you heard that right. Friggin' Norman Osborn. So he creates the Dark Avengers, and leads it as the Iron Patriot. Basically a combination of Iron Man, but with Captain America's colors. Now, the MCU did a version of the Iron Patriot, but they did their own spin and made Rhodey the Iron Patriot, and he did work for the government. Eventually, the Dark Avengers declare war on Asgard. Asgard is currently just hovering over a spot of land on Earth. With the siege of Asgard underway, Norman wants to use Sentry's evil side, Void, as a secret weapon to take the Asgardians down. He manipulates Sentry to allow Void to take over his body, and in the end, Norman is imprisoned on the raft. But, you know, he never stays there for very long. Number 2, Iron Maniac. Iron Maniac is from an alternate universe, Earth 5012 to be exact. In this world, almost all of the other Avengers were killed by a Super Skrull. Also in this world, Tony became more and more crazy as time went on, with a lot of it happening because of the loss he experienced. In this world, he also ended up becoming obsessed with Reed Richards, who he believed was becoming too power hungry. Tony became more unhinged, even killing that world's Black Widow and Wolverine. But that's not all, folks. He then took on the Fantastic Four and killed Johnny Storm, aka the Human Torch, after Johnny permanently scarred Tony's face. Reed eventually found a way of stopping him by sending him to another Earth, the main Earth, Earth 616. Number 1, Ultron, MCU version. So in the MCU, Ultron is created by, you guys guessed it, Tony Stark. After the events of the first Avengers, Tony is still dealing with the trauma of that alien invasion. He wants to make sure that if there is ever another attack, the world will be prepared. So, Tony starts the Ultron program, using the Mind Stone from Loki's scepter. At first, they just look like variations of armor that Tony has worn in the past, but controlled with his AI, basically to protect Earth against any threats to it. But Ultron deems the human race as the greatest threat against Earth, so instead of protecting the humans, he's going to wipe them out. Yeah, that's kind of dark. He was doing this initially with assistance from Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, but Ultron's plan was coming together. His second form was made from vibranium. His plan was to lift up a city in Sokovia and allow it to come crashing down like a meteor to wipe out humanity. Obviously, the Avengers were able to stop him, and he was destroyed by Vision in the end.